But otherwise, so far in the run here, things are going pretty dang smoothly. I'll definitely not but rather buy a blink scroll. That is fantastic. Maybe mark silence and teleport as potential options for the future here. Let's see what other shops our orc has in store for us. I feel like I've been getting this demonic orc finale a little bit more often than usual lately for whatever reason. And I think I will walk away from the Mighted Orc Warrior here, at least be a little more cognizant of them. Similar with the High Priest here, holy moly. Quite a few demonic pals being brought into the mix, but we'll just walk right back to our stairwell, play this a little bit on the safe side, and can deal with you sons of guns as we see fit moving forward. Fantastic. And hopefully that's kind of the worst that is yet to come. I guess I haven't been checking. Ooh, with our willpower, paralysis is at 14%, which is not great for sure. Probably should be a little more cautious as we continue to make our way through, but hopefully not the end of the world here. And we'll try to just blast you into oblivion, my friend. Perfect. Ooh. You're mighted as well, my Orc Knight friend. That does not seem ideal by any stretch. So we'll try to relatively slowly walk out of here. Want to be slightly cautious that I don't accidentally take multiple steps, especially, oof, that fire damage. Oh gosh. It's Spicy Orc waiting on the sorcerers to show up, and there they are. Yeah, I feel like we've been getting lucky up until this point to even do as well as we have. Obviously, there's no guarantee that we'll continue to survive in any capacity here. In fact, there we go. We do take a huge hit from the Sun Demon. Kind of expected. I was hoping that we could read the teleport, maybe get one lackluster damage turn, and then go from there. As is, I think we do have to start pulling out emergency measures, unfortunately. Oof, oof. And that's, you know, in before we just immediately get teleported into the center of the end vault there. Fortunately, does not end up being the case. In fact, quite the opposite. We get teleported directly to our exit out of the floor, so that's fantastic. Can try to, now that we're just back up to full mana, try to just quickly annihilate our way through the rest of these sons of guns. Still quite scary for sure, especially once again those orc sorcerers. Gotta be careful of that paralyzed chance. Not the end of the world. Just a demon spawn hanging out, as they do. Hello, my friend. Don't think we have to worry too much about these buddies, so we'll go back to just using Sandblast, maybe the occasional Stone Arrow to try and catapult ourselves into a safe spot here. Ooh. I don't think we need Spellbook, though. Nice to have available. I've been wanting to try Plasma Beam for a long time. Maybe not on this run. We'll wait for like a Fire Air Elementalist in the future. Before blinking those so my coffers are deep enough. I guess the question then becomes, can we continue to have our coffers deep enough moving forward? Because we definitely don't want to use too many of our resources early on here. Let's see, we get a Vampiric Hand Axe of Change. Cold and Resistance, which is okay. No, I regardless don't think we'll be using the Anti-Magic Dagger, so we can maybe carry this around as an emergency cold resistance source of sorts. And that's not too bad. I'm now permanently scarred about going back up to level 1 of Orc after being immediately paralyzed to death in a single sequence a few runs back. But I think we'll risk it to get the biscuit here and see how things go. No Orc Sorcerers so far at least, so that's some small reprieve here in the midst of our dangerous escapades. And, ooh, dispersal boomerangs definitely could be a pain in the rear here, but nothing we can't handle so far. You saw that video? Definitely the ebb and flow of crawl. Oh, right, it is what it is. These things definitely do happen. It was unfortunate because it was, if I remember correctly, an otherwise relatively strong character, but again, all part of the fun, part of the adventure or even misadventure that we call Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. Which is largely just a way of me cushioning the blow when even potentially a character that's going as well as Greg here takes a sudden and swift turn into the doldrums. So can couch that potential defeat a little bit in advance here. Otherwise, let's head back into the regular dungeon. Gotta remember, it was Meliai that chased us away in the first place here. So still have to be cautious of those Sons of Guns showing up for sure. But hopefully, it's not too much of an issue. Speak of the devil and all of that. So, if we Mephitic Cloud, at least these Sons of Guns are weak to that, and then maybe an Irradiate to just try to annihilate them out of this realm of existence, and that's fantastic. Otherwise pretty low health, so even getting that confusion on them I feel like does a lot of the heavy lifting, at least removing all of their high evasion, so that's fantastic. Just died before joining the stream. Sorry to hear, but you teleported from a half-dead 6-headed Hydra into immediately next to 2 8-headed Hydras. What a game. If that doesn't sum up the DCSS experience in a nutshell, I don't know what does. See, that's exactly what I was expecting to happen on our escapades in Lair a bit ago as well. Or in Orc, rather. But fortunately, we seem to be coasting by, at least for the moment here. So we'll see how all that goes. Oops, let's try that again. Mark you to a couple more percents here. Keep the spell power coming up on these. At least everything is fairly castable in our current spell book, so that's fantastic. LRD being offered to us from Vey for quite a while now, but still not super interested in pulling that into our general oeuvre. Hello, Francis. Icicle is going to hurt like a son of a gun, but otherwise we might actually do okay against you. It's a bit on the tough side. Okay, well, looks like we're not going to get as much of a chance this time, but we'll just whip out the iron shots immediately and try to take you down quickly, my friend. Fantastic. And I'm seeing that human, so that makes me think that we're coming up on our potential vaults entrance right away here. Ooh, and we miss a 92% chance to hit the Hydra, so we can immediately just pop the heck out of dodge for the moment here. And let's see if we can maybe reapproach these Sons of Guns from a slightly safer perspective, shall we? Again, all of these humans just chilling out here. Hello, my friends. Oh, and there was another necromancer. Whoopsie daisies. Should also be slightly cautious of the regular wizard as well, just because of banishment chances here. I think otherwise we can take all of our new friends on a little bit of a hike. That will at least wear off the necromancy spells here, and then otherwise can just take all of our new friends upstairs. Let's try to work a hole in the ranks here. Fantastic. Vehumet actually helping out a great deal there, just keeping us once again upped up enough in the magic point department to keep blasting our way through these Sons of Guns without too much of a care in the world, so that's fantastic. Staff of Cold I can probably ignore for the time being here. And Reflection makes me want to be slightly cautious against you. Let's not blast ourselves in the face with our own iron shots if at all possible. But we can keep you in the Mephitic Cloud here. There we go. did not last very long. I guess Irradiate also kind of does the trick for us, so that's fantastic. Let's maybe actually take you back so that we're next to both these Sons of Guns. And that's a little bit more of an efficient use of our spell power here. Fortunately, this buddy has a polearm, so we can be a little bit more free and running away. Of course, human coming up from the rear here will get some attacks of opportunity, but fortunately don't really deal enough damage for me to care too much one way or another. And then we can just finish off both those Sons of Guns, and that is fantastic. Not too shabby. We could check out the cloak even for a bit of a style change, but I feel like the red goes quite nicely with our current armor setup here, so that's not too shabby. And we get very distant message, so let's maybe just start heading up to one of the corners here. We'll go top left for the time being and see how that goes. 34 AC is pretty beefy, not too bad whatsoever. Yeah, definitely pairing up the already fantastic AC of a Gargoyle with a +7 chainmail artifact is just fantastic. Very happy with that still. Still got a very distant message as we were starting to walk up towards the left there, so I'm hoping that potentially coming up this direction is slightly better. I do see that we're still in the very distant range here fighting the Skeletal Warriors, so maybe bottom right as our final hurrah here. We'll see how that goes. In fact, we could just head upstairs here. Let's go back to this stairwell. So I think besides being slightly distant, it was an alright entry point here, so we can head up this direction and potentially, cross the Great Lakes here, make our way across, and hopefully, hey, there she is, find our way to our lovely ice biome. Definitely don't take shots from a Centaur Warrior from afar, whoopsie daisies. But as for coming in here, we have cold resistance. It does bring us to a pretty absurdly low dexterity, so I should be on the lookout for any enemies that are going to throw a wrench in that. We of course have -4 dex on our armor and now another -4 dex on our axe, so interesting to say the least. Can drop amnesia, all of the kind of enchantment scrolls, even noise can probably go for now. Free up some space in case we find some good stuff. Is that how's my willpower looking with dex this low? Not great. Definitely not great. But we'll see how things go down. A Deep Troll Simulacrum. Holy moly, look at those high numbers. Let's just try to blast that buddy out of existence right away. We at least deal a decent amount of damage. Oh, you're both Minotaurs. Oh, okay. Tiny sprite made me lulled into a false sense of security here. Well, you're at least both slow, so I can back up temporarily and just blast you. Beautiful. Vehumet offers us knowledge of Fireball, which I don't have too much interest in general here, but do I take this as a temporary option just to make it through the ice cave? Feeling a little more safer, maybe? Can at least just blast the ever-living crap out of Simulacrum, so that's nice. I mean, as we saw in our previous character, Blast Motes is also incredible against Simulacrums. Binding, or rather combining their slow movement speed with the fire damage of these and the kind of utility is pretty wild stuff. You know what? I think I'll learn Fireball temporarily. Why the heck not? It could be fun. Are you like... Okay, no caustic strikes yet at least, so that's nice. Fortunately, don't have to deal too much with the especially strong enemies here, just every once in a while as we make our way through the ice cave. Ooh, ice dragon scales. I'll at least pick you up for the time being. I don't think we'll end up using you. Oh, and a bug. Or not a bug, but rather the golden dragon simulacrum at this stage of the game is wild stuff. Hate that. Just a bit. Terrifying, to say the least. But maybe nothing we can't handle, especially with some fireballs from afar here. That's fantastic. And otherwise, we can just kind of keep the general blitz going on here. Hello, my Spriggan friends. Have to enable at least one skill. Well, at least we're still hitting our caps nice and quick-like here. Where do we even go? I guess more defensive skills is probably the right call. I always leave those off a little bit longer than I should. Even some more armor training, just so we can continue moving forward in our chainmail and getting some of the higher level spells going. Like maybe armor and fighting will go for a very defensive approach for now. And these Spriggans definitely laying down a decent chunk of damage, especially since the Spriggans are fast enough that even their simulacrum forms are a little bit faster than I would like, unfortunately. And you know what, let's just blast you Kiddlywinks into the next plane of existence here. Fantastic. Another Spriggan defender. Hey, my friend. And troll shouldn't be too bad. Again, just blast those sons of guns without too much of a hair in the world here. Fantastic. Fireball turned out to be worth it just for making it that smooth. I think so. I'm pretty happy with it for sure. Say as we start to take a little bit more damage than I'd like from our next Minotaur Simulacrum friend. Definitely not too shabby at the end of the day here. Taking care of most of these sons of guns nicely. Again, very much seems to be an X-Labyrinth type situation going on here. Minotaur Simulacrums as far as the eye can see. Hello, my friends. Let's start here for now. In fact, I think we'll pop around this corner so that we're not getting blizzarded out of our gosh darn gourd here with the tornado demon. How much damage do you do, my friend? 24 and 45. So we're not in danger of a one-shot. We can step away, hit you with some undodgeable fire damage. That's fantastic. So unless you never play heavy armor casters, am I ever able to cast big spells? Not really. If you want to cast like level 9, I mean definitely in a 15 rune game where you have infinite experience, then you're totally fine. That's where I'll oftentimes, I mean if you're lucky you get some orange crystal plate, but you can cast in like gold dragon scales even. Generally fine in that regard, especially if you kind of mix it up. You have your like base hybrid stats, and then you use transmutations as a quick shortcut to get out of heavy armor into blaster caster mode, and then you kind of get the best of both worlds. But no, in a 3 rune game, you're probably going to have a pretty hard time casting level 9 spells in heavy armor. But it's definitely possible, especially, you know, depending on your strength score, depending on what kind of equipment you come across. I mean, right now, a huge part of why we're able to make do even with the chainmail here is due to the fact that we're using a ring of wizardry since early on. Would definitely be a little less doable without that by our side. And hello, Railbird. How are things going, my friend? Welcome, welcome. And more Minotaur Simulacrums. Hello there. Leather armor, cold resistance, meh. Probably not super worth it. Definitely I was about to say a huge ice caves here. We did finally make it to the end, it seems, but definitely was interesting. And a +5 greatsword, hey? With slow, but 2 pips of fire resistant at least caught my eye. I don't think we'll be using that son of a gun at all, but interesting to look at. I always like it when items have a huge number of egos and modifiers. At least gets the blood pump in here, gets me excited. Otherwise, we can start dropping some of this baloney for the moment here. And let's just go back to our regularly scheduled dungeon exploration, shall we? Hopefully everything will seem pretty straightforward after the slightly more adventurous journey into the ice caves there. Fantastic. And so far, so good. That should pretty much be the last of D14 here. Getting very close to the point where we're going to have to start delving into our S branches. Hello, Freezing Wraith. Just met tons of your potential siblings, ancestors. Hopefully not both. But regardless, nothing too bad going on. Wasn't paying super close attention, but it seems like one of those orcs dodged an iron shot that just immediately obliterated the much scarier large troll behind them, so that's beautiful. And hello, Rupert. 22% chance for both paralyze and confuse is too much, for sure. I mean, the flip side is that iron shot can annihilate you in just a few shots, as long as we're not too unlucky. We have Quicksilver to get rid of your... No, I was thinking of Haste and Might. Does Quicksilver get rid of Berserk Rage? I feel like in most conditions, right? Never used it in that context before. I mean, in general, probably just want to read Teleport. And get the heck out of dodge. Okay. Can kill Nessos right away. Okay, that definitely could have taken a bit of a turn there, but fortunately does not end up being the case. You, my friend, let's let you walk up to me so I can at least blast you a little more comfortably, and that's fantastic. And otherwise, should just be able to blitz our way through these sons of guns. Let's double check. Okay, haven't been offered anything new quite yet. Vehumet, but that's fine. You get Faith, Rampage, Drain, 3 cold resistance, and Dex. Ooh. Excuse me. These crazy hiccups. 22% is 21% higher than I'd hoped for. You know, I'd even go as far as to say 22% higher, even though it's super difficult to get down to that 0%. In fact, I don't know if Rupert, if you ever could, even with max willpower. I feel like some of the like orc wizards and stuff, they're confused. You can get down to 0% pretty realistically, even with the kind of exponential scaling that goes on at the higher levels there. But yes, exactly, it's a must. But yeah, I don't love Faith for this character, but 3 pips of cold resistance, especially if we find other equipment to kind of fill in all of our other resistances, I feel like that could potentially be a half-decent option for us in the future. You know, if we could get not your summons, but you yourself, my vampiric friend. There we go. Fantastic. We're offered Osakubu's refrigeration. Turns out the game very much wants me to be an ice mage instead of the kind of blaster, caster, conjuration expert that we've gone with here. So that's too bad. We got both freezing clouds and now Osakubu's main squeeze here. I don't think I'm too concerned about it one way or another. We'll probably just keep on keeping on for the time being here. Definitely take you, Sons of Guns, up to the hallway. Beautiful. Wild how late into the game Sandblast is still a viable spell. Like, I'm still using it quite a decent amount against these stronger enemies. And sure, the skeletal warriors, it definitely started to fall off a wee bit there at the end, but otherwise pretty solid stuff. I mean, it is 2d20 damage for level 1 spell, which is just wild. Not that I am complaining whatsoever, of course. We do love to see it. And hello, my Tengu friend. Perfect. Silver javelins we might want to pick up at some point in the future, but for now that's great. And you know, we finally found ourselves a nice upstairs. Let's get the heck out of there. We'll head back to Lair and more specifically start exploring our S branches, and let's see how things kind of shake out in that regard, shall we? Got all of our potions ID'd, so that's beautiful. And we definitely could get pulled somewhere against our will, and that does in fact end up being the case. Just try to blast this son of a gun as they approach here, and that's fantastic. Don't have to worry too much about negative energy. And hello, Azul. Let's get some revenge. I think it wasn't Azul that killed us on Vogir, now that I think about it, but it was Poison Arrow. So in many ways, we still get the sweet, sweet satisfaction of revenge there, which is fantastic. And let's maybe lead you kiddos on a wee bit of a goose chase here. Beautiful. And then we can just get right back into the thick of things. Oh, geez Louise. Let's actually save this. I want to Iron Shot the LA Noma. Can probably take them out. Oh, I was hoping in one more volley there. Unfortunately, did not end up being the case, but that's fine. We can step next to these two before providing some lovely radiation for all of their concerns and troubles. Especially against Spriggans, it's always super tempting to radiate, being one of those lovely spells that completely ignores evasion and doesn't have to worry about that. So that is beautiful. Get some more fancy necklaces here. Just need to blast these sons of guns. Magic regeneration. Meh, it's okay, I guess. You like every branch but swamp and slime. Ooh, an anti-swamp player. Definitely, I think it's fair. I feel like every one of the S branches is very much kind of targeted towards a certain style of character. But you know, we constantly get the like anti-snake folks. Anti-spider with the latest update has become a little more popular. I feel like historically it's been kind of a nothing burger, but now it's a bit more on the sketchy side, or at least has the potential to be. But I guess Swamp, I feel like my brain is still slightly broken by ye old days of Swamp. Back when Swamp was the obvious go-to answer as to being the easiest S branch. It's no longer really true, especially once some of the stronger Swamp enemies were brought into the mix, specifically like your Thorn Hunters and your Shambling Mangroves? Shamblers? I forget what those sons of guns are called. Definitely gotten a bit trickier though in the more recent future, but generally I don't hate Swamp too much. Shoals has a special place in my heart where it just wreaks fear and stress upon me at every given turn, but otherwise I don't have too much of an issue with any of the other floors. I mean, Snake also definitely some bad history, some bad mojo on my end, but it at least is a bit more straightforward, especially if you happen to luck out. You don't get surrounded by something like a Guardian Serpent, and instead you can take advantage of the movement speed of all of your snake friends. Then it's not quite so existentially terrifying. But Swamp always feels so random, feels like can't prepare any defense. There's a mix that pops up and the others feel consistent what options they check. Right? Yeah, I think that's a very fair argument for sure. Especially, you know, once again, Snake is very consistent, if nothing else. Consistently terrifying, but you know exactly what to expect for sure. And I do feel like sometimes Swamp, especially depending on your character, I mean, it's wild that, you know, lacking something just fire resistance, you're prepared for every other eventuality. A single Will-O-Wisp can annihilate you in no time flat. So I think that's very fair to say. But okay, we hit our next skill cap here. So what the heck do I want to do with my life? I guess we could potentially work in some fire magic, then maybe we keep Fireball around a little bit longer than originally intended. That's kind of hinging our bets that we could also get Ignition up and running over the course of the 3-run game, which may not be the case, especially if we do remain in the heavy armor that we're currently wearing throughout the rest of our venture here, through the rest of our journey. Evocations might be nice to have. There's not a lot going for it right at this very moment, but usually ends up being very useful by the late stages of the run. And I guess the other kind of option we have here is Mason Flails. Gets us cross-training for our current hand axe, and then on top of that we have this, I think it's an Evening Star. I'm mixing up my solid one-handed maces and flails right now. But you know, a little bit of hybrid option here, some backup offensive ability in case we do run out of magic in a bad situation. Doesn't seem horrible.